How do I look? I never really learned how to smile. Is that a good smile? People are like, show your teeth. Okay, I'll smile with my teeth. There you go. Okay, enough foolishness. So, welcome to another one of my videos. My last one started about talking about fraud in the past, and I was talking about love, and I was getting ready to put it together and edit it and upload it, and I'm still going to do that. But I remembered that I started out wanting to do a whole different topic, and I just kind of went off on a tangent. Imagine that, me on a tangent. But my original intent was to do a video about sustainability. So my topic today is sustainability. Now, you hear this word a lot, right? And people talk about it in regards to like the natural environment. And sometimes they talk about it with technology. And I've been thinking about this word a lot lately. And, there's been so many lies and, subversion and things going on within government lately. And I started thinking about the sustainability of government. And, I may have talked about this a little bit before in one of my other videos, but I really wanted to do one where it's what I talk about more specifically, and this is where we're at today. So I find it very ironic that the same people that talk about environmental sustainability also promote ideologies that are entirely unsustainable. What am I talking about? Well, at its core, it's all kind of Marxism. Marxism, kind of shows itself as socialism, which I guess is the most acceptable version of that hateful, destructive ideology. It's funny, Marxism is like, if Marxism was a book, most people only read the inside front cover. Or the inside front and back cover. You know how like a hardcover book has got, I have to explain this for people who have never actually read a print book. See, books used to be made on paper, with paper, with like a cardboard cover. That's why they call it a hardcover. And then when you opened it up, well, first of all, on the cover itself, you've got the title and the author, and then you've got like reviews that you paid for from like a major media conglomerate who probably also owns the publisher, or at least has a partnership with the publisher. And well, then on the inside of the front cover, then you've got a little explanation as to what's going on. And on the inside back cover, look, kind of give you a synopsis of what's going on. On the back cover or whatever, sometimes you've got more going on, whatever. But after that long-winded description of a book, my point is that most people who talk about Marxism, they only read the cover. Or maybe if they read the book, they'll read the first chapter or so, skim through it, and then just put it away. They leave out the late chapters where Marxism turns into communism, and communism turns into murder, and murder turns into lots more murder, and then it turns into authoritarianism and the crushing and destruction of individuality and rights. And basically, it seems like it's just an attempt to make humans into colonies of insects. But people don't get that far. People don't read the whole book. And I'm not actually talking about a Karl Marx book, because Karl Marx obfuscates the eventual outcomes of his theories. And Marx wasn't a worker. For someone that's touted as like the big defender of the working class, he never worked. Marx's hands were probably softer than a baby's butt. So what the hell did he know? And he was in the 1800s, where it's not like he had internet and he could actually research stuff. He was, observing some things around him. I don't know, whatever. I've not studied the history of Marx enough to know more than he was basically full of shit. Like a lot of the so-called geniuses of that era, that were just theorists, their theories were a lot of times based on just nothing but their own assumptions. Why isn't there a political ideology based on, Darwinism? Anyway, besides the point, maybe there is. I'm just not aware of it. Hey, maybe that's where we are right now. And that's a whole nother topic too, because people don't really understand Darwinism. Is it an ism? Is it really? You know, he was highly religious, and some of the things he discovered, he tried to like kind of undiscover. But anyway, we're not talking about Darwin. Oh boy, this is all tangents so far. But look, guys, tangents are unsustainable. If you keep following tangents, you're just going to be lost. And I wasn't trying to make that point, but I guess I kind of did. The sustainability of ideas is, it's going to be based on the lack of censorship. Well, what do we have in our modern times? We have rampant censorship, and don't kid yourself. The government is censoring you too, but the big tech, so-called big tech, whatever, they're definitely censoring everybody they can, everybody that doesn't fall in lockstep with what they want. And the government, well, certain facets of the government act like they have a problem with it, and they don't. The whole reason these people are allowed to censor to begin with is because they've been given purview to by the laws that are put in place to protect them. It's a complex web, but the end result is certain ideas are just not allowed. Whole trains of thought are not allowed. And this erodes the sustainability of new ideas, If you keep telling people that are coming up with new ideas that they're just not allowed to have these ideas heard, what do you think they're going to keep trying? I mean, a lot of people won't. I mean, some people are going to be persistent, but some of these valuable new ideas are just going to be lost to history. They're never going to become fully formed because, to me, an idea, especially a really complex idea, for it to be fully formed, it needs to be vetted. It needs to be exchanged between people. The whole idea of genius is that you have the ability to see the big picture, but no matter how genius you are or how big a picture you can see, you can always benefit from outside critique. And without that ability, these things are going to wither on the vine. Even the sweetest fruit is going to wither on the vine. And this isn't a sustainable future for us. These ideologies that hope to bring about collectivism, they're just not going to work. They haven't worked. And all of these universities that are pushing these ideas, that are trying to convince these people that aren't very smart that they're super geniuses and they can somehow overcome the past and all the other failures, when they tell you, oh, well, the reason socialism or communism or whatever hasn't worked in the past is because I wasn't in charge. They didn't put me in charge of it, so it failed. But I tell you what, I'm the next Che Guevara, blah, 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 and I'm gonna have my face on a T-shirt 50 years from now, and people are gonna respect me, and you'll see people go off into these whole tirades of authoritarianism, all trying to argue for freedom somehow. They don't get it. And maybe I don't get it either. Maybe I'm just being confusing. I don't know. But this whole idea of climate change is laughable too. That's where this word sustainability comes from most, in that they act like, oh, the world's getting hotter. Oh, the world's getting colder. Oh, there's storms. Oh, there's no storms, or there's drought. There's rain. There's no rain. There's no rain. Well, have you lived on Earth? Things change all the time. We used to have dinosaurs roaming. We don't have them anymore. We used to have large predators that tried to eat us. We don't have them anymore. What we do have is lots of toxins and the sun. And the sun is what deals with most of the weather. The sun is what creates all our waves of change of hot and cold, and the Earth's rotation, which isn't perfect, the way that it tilts back and forth, that causes lots of change. The magnetic center of the Earth, which is part of this wobbling, moving around, that creates a lot of change. And there's so many things going on that we have nothing to do with. And the idea of having government act like they can somehow harness this thing, I mean, it would be like trying to tie a rope onto the Earth itself and steer it. You know what I mean? Like it was a cow or a horse. I'm not kidding. Like literally, that's how little effect we have on changing these Earth cycles. That doesn't mean that we don't affect the Earth. I'm not saying that at all. What we are doing, and what this whole climate change agenda is obscuring, is the amount of toxins that we're spewing out. All these plastics that are getting dumped in the water, all these pharmaceuticals that are getting dumped in the water. And I'm not saying dumped in the water like they're just maniacally pouring these things in the oceans and laughing about them. These are usually the toxic byproducts of consumer products. And then, you take these consumer pills and whatever, and they go through your system and you don't absorb them all. And it comes out in your waste, and then it goes into the toilet, and then it goes back into the water system. And, this stuff is way more important than carbon. It was so clever that they picked carbon dioxide to be the big evil. Every living thing has carbon chains within it, at least as far as we know, in our current understanding of life. And carbon dioxide itself, as a single element, it's plant food. This slight excess of carbon dioxide that we've created in the last 150 years, you know what it's done? It's greened this planet. We have a greener planet now as far as plant growth than we've had since the industrial age hit us. Somehow it's evil. They talk about the carbon count in the air, and they throw out numbers that people don't understand, and then they tell them this number's good and this number's bad, and just remember this number, and no, anything that's not this number is pure evil. And people misunderstanding science is also not sustainable. We're taught all these things in classrooms, and it's almost designed to unteach us. I say almost. It's definitely designed to unteach us. What do I mean by that? I mean, it's horseshit. It's all a scam. It's all a scam, y'all. The climate agenda, it's just a control agenda. The government, unsustainability, it's all just to gain more and more control. You may hear that there's lots of terms that you'll hear refer to this. They say problem, reaction, solution. And that's easily understood like this. They create the problem. They foment the reaction through the media and through their own reactions. And then they magically have a solution ready to go. And that solution is usually an expansion of government, an expansion of control, loss of freedoms, loss of wealth, well, for the people. I mean, you can see it everywhere. Every big catastrophe, whether it's a natural catastrophe or a man-made catastrophe, they're all the same thing. They all have the same process once it's over. They take advantage of these crises, and they exert more and more control. But it's not sustainable. People are going to get fed up with this, and I see it now more than ever. This current election and the fraud that's happening, people aren't just going to sit back and not do anything about it. I fear that violence is going to erupt, and I don't see that as a solution, because the government is way better at violence than any of us. I'm just going to try to wait it out. This is what I tell everybody. I'm a big fat ass, and I have a big old gut, and I could actually go out to the woods with some water and a couple tools, and I could wait out a lot of you motherfuckers for months, maybe even years, if I could actually find a source of food. or had the right seeds with me or whatever. I'm not going to reveal what I have planned. But most of it is me just keeping to myself and doing my own thing. And that is sustainable, at least in my own lifetime. I don't plan on hurting anybody. I don't plan on exploiting anybody. I only plan on my own effort, pushing me forward. And you know what? If we all had that simple outlook, well, I think we'd all be much better off. Let's all try to be sustainable within our own lives, guys, and stop trying to control other people's. I love you. I mean it. Until next time.